So everyone wants to be happy. You read about it in books, you hear about it on podcasts, you hear about it in songs, you see it on posts, especially when everyone's filtering everything. Everyone seems to want to be happy. But what if I told you the pursuit of happiness actually hampers us? When the reality is there's a much better way to live and to organize our time and to understand all the experiences of life and process them that I want to show you later on. One of my therapy clients told me this parable. If you're watching on YouTube, you can cite the specific source, but he told me there's a king who asked a magician for something that would make every happy moment sad and every sad moment happy. He thought he was giving a riddle to this magician that would be unsolvable. Well, sure enough, this magician comes back with a ring, and the magician gives him this ring to put on. He goes, "How's this going to do what I asked?" But then he saw this little inscription on the inside of the ring, and the king read, "This moment will pass." And sure enough, as he put that ring on and thought about life through that lens, what happened is in all of the happiest moments with family, with friends, with good food, with good drink, he realized this isn't going to last. And even in the sad moments when things were hard, when there was pressure, when there was a sense of loss, when he had a tough day, he realized this is not going to last. I want to give you 3 reasons why happiness is actually a trap that hampers and hinders us. And the first is this. On one hand, happiness is easy. It's too easy. Think about in so many ways what we're describing when we say, "I just want to be happy." We want to feel peace. We want to feel a dopamine rush. We want to feel thrilled at any or at all times. And on one hand, that's really easy to do. All you got to do is pick up your favorite bag of Cheetos or potato chips and get that dopamine rush. All you got to do is do some activity, whether it's going 80 miles an hour on a motorcycle, whether it's talking to a guy the other day, going golf, whatever it is that gives you that rush. Happiness is actually really easy. Now, most of us would agree if we just fill ourselves up with Takis or with a certain type of junk food, or if we just spend our time on the golf course or completely obsessed with some kind of either sports activity or other constant pursuit, usually we're going to do that at the expense of other things. And so while we might feel really good while we're eating our Takis, our health is actually tanking. While we might feel really good when we're on the soccer field with our friends, if we're there too much, our other relationships, maybe marriage, maybe a relationship with a child, is actually tanking. And so on the one hand, happiness is really easy in the short run, but with the things that matter most, we're going to ultimately be unhappy and unfulfilled in these other areas of life. We recognize that the shortcut is actually unhealthy. The second reason that happiness, that is the pursuit of happiness all the time, is actually hindering and hampering to what we most want, is that happiness, on the other hand, is hard work. I think it was the Beach Boy who said that first. Happiness is hard work. In other words, if we're constantly trying to get the rush, if we're constantly trying to get the hit, if we're constantly trying to pursue this thrill, that's actually really hard work. To continually maintain the perspective, to continually pursue the things that matter most. Say we're not going after Takis and a quick hit of a good time with friends. Maybe we are going after good health and strong relationships. The kind of stuff that really satisfies us on another level of happiness. Well, that's hard work, and that takes time. And so when all we do is go after that, we're constantly looking for this rush. We're constantly looking for this hit of dopamine as we're pursuing these goals. Here's why that's a problem. If happiness on one hand is too easy and on the other hand is just hard work, well, It sets us up for a negative feedback loop. That's the third reason that our pursuit of happiness actually hinders and hampers us, is because it sets us up for a negative feedback loop. I used to think that I wanted to be happy all the time. I used to think that my life was actually less than ideal if I wasn't happy all the time. I used to really envy people who were described as, oh, he's just happy all the time. And what I realized is that life isn't like that. Feelings are fleeting, and real life, honestly, has some hard moments. Maybe a lot of hard moments. And so sometimes we're going to feel sad. Sometimes we're going to feel stressed. Sometimes we're going to feel even angry about certain things. And when I measure as the meaning of a good life being happy all the time, well, because real life happens and sometimes we are sad, appropriately sad. Sometimes we are mad, appropriately mad. And sometimes we are anxious and a whole lot of other things. Well, guess what? I'm always setting myself up for never hitting that standard of constant happiness. I'm setting myself up for a constant negative feedback loop. And you were designed for that. I wasn't designed for that. And so, because happiness is, well, on one hand, just too easy, and on the other hand, really hard work, and it sets us up for a negative feedback loop, there's something actually a lot better, a lot healthier, and a lot more helpful than constantly pursuing happiness. And it's this. It's pursuing instead emotional freedom. What is emotional freedom? Well, it's the freedom to feel and express those feelings without those feelings driving our lives. Did you know that there is a reason that anger exists? Now, most of the time it gets us into trouble, but it's actually meant to be something really helpful. We can get into that another day. Did you know that even anxiety, our stress response, it's meant to bless and to protect us? The problem is, usually it ends up hindering us and affecting our relationships when it crosses a certain threshold. But it's meant as a good thing. Even sadness, it's meant to reveal certain things, to show us certain things about our heart, and that we're able to feel, that we're able to love, that we're able to be connected. Anger, anxiety, sadness, these feelings were created by God on purpose. Now, the issue is that most of the time they send us into a spiral and they hurt our relationships. But that's not how they were designed. And that's why emotional freedom and learning how to become emotionally free is even better than pursuing happiness all the time. Emotional freedom is the ability to feel, to express the feeling without being overcome or driven by our feelings. In some ways, it's letting the feeling come and pass through like the weather. So here's what I want you to do in order to take your next step toward emotional freedom. What I want you to do is I want you to go to emotionalbreakthroughbootcamp.com. This is a brand new 3-day experience, just an hour a day on a Zoom call with me, where I want to help you take major, massive action toward your emotional freedom and ultimately what your soul longs for most, that satisfaction, that peace within, and that ability to show up steady with those that you love the most. The next one is coming up really soon, so go to emotionalbreakthroughbootcamp.com. I can't wait to spend that time with you. But friend, you were created not for constant happiness, but to be emotionally free. There's a reason that even the uncomfortable ones exist. And I want to encourage you. You are able to become a person who is emotionally free, even if it's been years. You are able, by the grace of God and the consistent work in your own heart and your own hands, to become emotionally free. We'll see you soon. Great to be with you.